So welcome to the annual Stanford GSB ENCORE Award. It's always a great event every year. I want to start with a couple of thanks, in particular to the ENCORE Award Selection Committee for their great choice and also for their work in putting together tonight's event. And thank you to all the sponsors of this event. And thank you to all of our alumni and distinguished guests. Thanks for all of your support of the GSB, including coming tonight. So the ENCORE Award, this is an award that has been given out since 1977. We've recognized 40 companies over that time. It's given each year to the Entrepreneurial Company of the Year that demonstrates the spirit and innovation and culture of Silicon Valley companies. And this year, Workday is a fabulous selection, and we have the two co-founders of Workday here with us tonight, Aneel Bhusri and Dave Duffield, and I'll bring them out in a few minutes. And just to say a few words of introduction, this is a particularly fitting award for Stanford to recognize an entrepreneurial company because it is so, entrepreneurship and innovation are so central to the university and to the business school. These days, every single one of the MBA students at the Stanford Business School has been taking at least one entrepreneurship class. And in the last few years, about 15 or 20% of our students, in fact, go on immediately after graduation and start a company. The next business school has about 7%, and everyone else is at about 3%. So that is really a distinctive feature of Stanford. And of course, all of the students become so much more innovative and able to assess risk and opportunity and be more capable leaders by being exposed to entrepreneurship and absorbing the culture here at Stanford. And it's a way that we connect with the rest of the university, with engineering and medicine and education, earth sciences. That integration with the other schools is a real hallmark of what we do. If you look at what's happened in our entrepreneurship program in the last few years, one of the big things that we've seen is an enormous increase in students interested in social entrepreneurship. That is using the skills of entrepreneurship and innovation in areas like health and education and sustainability as a way to think about using innovation to address fundamental societal challenges. Last year, we actually had 140 students who participated in a social entrepreneurship program. And when I think about, looking forward, one of the things I think you're going to hear about tonight is that many of us anticipate that there's going to be profound changes in business and in society as a result of advances in technology, and in particular, automation, data science, artificial intelligence. And I believe that is likely to be one of the areas where our entrepreneurship program goes over the next several years, both in terms of thinking about what the opportunities are and also the potential risks and consequences. And I think you'll hear some of that tonight because the two people who are the leaders and founders of Workday are famous for being one step ahead of technology and seeing what are the opportunities that are enabled by in their case, new communication, the internet and new communication technology. And then, of course, masterful execution, which they have done exceptionally well. Okay, so now I want to bring out our panelists tonight, and let's see if Stacey, you want to see if they're here? We'll bring them out. Geoff, come on out. Okay, so we have 4 of them. We have 2 panelists and we have 2 moderators. We're going to double team the panelists from either end here, and we have a Yang on each end, and they're going to have some jokes about that, I think. So first, on the far end, we have Geoff Yang. He's an MBA graduate of the class of '85. He is the founding partner of Redpoint Ventures. He has invested in many technology companies through Redpoint. He did not invest in Workday, and so maybe they'll discuss why that what happened there, but it's not on their list. Geoff has also just been an incredible volunteer and alumni supporter of the business school since he graduated. He's been on our advisory council. He's been a longtime chair of the ENCORE Selection Committee, and he's involved across the university in many, many ways. Here next to me is Jerry Yang. Jerry's a Stanford graduate. He got both a bachelor's and a master's degree over in the engineering school. He graduated in 1990. Somehow never made his way over to the business school, but that's okay. He left Stanford to found Yahoo. That was back in the early days of the internet, and of course was involved there until 2012. And Jerry, not only was he the internet pioneer, he probably made one of the all-time great investments by buying 40% of Alibaba in 2007. So he's distinctive as a founder and also as an entrepreneurial investor. And he also has been incredibly involved with Stanford. He's on our board of trustees. He's been on the advisory boards of the Knight Hennessy Scholars, the Cantor Art Center, and he's currently involved in our new human-centered artificial intelligence initiative. So Geoff and Jerry, thank you so much for your leadership and support here at Stanford and out in the community. Okay, now I introduce our two panelists, Aneel Bhusri and Dave Duffield. Aneel is a GSB alum from the MBA class of 1993. He left, he went to work for Dave at PeopleSoft. He eventually became vice chairman there, and they started Workday together in 2005 after the acquisition of PeopleSoft by Oracle. And it's been a home run basically from day one under Aneel's leadership as CEO, and you're going to hear all about it. Aneel's also on the board of directors of Intel, and I want to welcome the other directors of Intel who decided to spend their board dinner here listening to Aneel. So thank you also, directors of Intel. And then Dave Duffield in the middle here has been just a legendary technology founder and leader for many years. He of course co-founded Workday. He's the chairman of the board, and before that he co-founded PeopleSoft. He was the CEO of that company, and before that, he was the CEO of Integral Systems. He founded Information Associates. There's not very many people in the world with his record of entrepreneurial accomplishments. So it's really, really a privilege to have Dave make the trip to be here tonight. So thank you all, and really looking forward to the panel.
Well, thank you, John. Before we get started, I just want to thank Jerry Yang for joining us. We make many Yang sandwiches, but this is by far the most distinguished Yang sandwich that we've ever had. Before we get started...
Can I just say that one of them is good Yang and one of them is bad Yang? And you guys will have to figure out who is who.
We're a little bit like matter and antimatter. We can't occupy the same space. But in any event, I just wanted to talk for a minute about the ENCORE Selection Committee and why we selected Workday as the winner of the Stanford Entrepreneurial Company of the Year Award. Part of the story goes to, we look for very classical stories of entrepreneurship. And Workday is a company that was founded by two previously successful entrepreneurs who worked together, were friends, and started a company over breakfast in February 2005 with a piece of paper. The second is that we look for founders who are still involved with the company, and they're still the CEO and the chairman, respectively, and obviously very actively involved. And today, Workday is the leading provider of enterprise cloud apps for finance and HR with over 2,400 customers and 10,000 employees worldwide. And over 35% of the Fortune 100 run Workday, and that number grows every day thanks to their efforts. The company went public in October of 2012 at $28, and it closed today at almost 6 times that price, over $164, with a market cap of $36 billion. Since its IPO, subscription revenues have grown from approximately $130 million in the year that you went public to an estimated $2.3 billion in the current fiscal year, representing an annual growth year over year of 30%, which is kind of astonishing. And finally, Aneel is a very loyal Stanford GSB grad, and as you can tell, one of the most beloved members of our community. And if you're not sure, just look around. We've had more table sales from sponsors and friends than any other award winner in recent memory. So why do we select Workday? Well, that's why. And so thank you, and welcome Aneel and Dave. So we thought we would just kind of talk through a few issues, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. But maybe we can start with Aneel, with the founding of Workday. And you You both worked together at PeopleSoft, and you were friends. But talk a little bit more about kind of how you met and how your friendship developed, and then talk about how PeopleSoft and what was happening at PeopleSoft led to the founding of Workday.
Sure. So
one little thing. Geoff forgot to mention we were fashion trendsetters. I'm wearing the tie that Aneel bought the management team for our IPO.
Wow. Really?
We've got
actually, it was Lindsay who's in the audience.
swag,
We got matching watches.
matching watches,
There you go.
very, very nice matching watches, and Aneel got me that several months ago, and I've got something for you.
I'll open it later.
No, it's relevant. Aneel,
My. A PeopleSoft watch. These are collector's items.
collector items.
So I first met Dave in 1992. I was working for George Still over there, who I owe a lot to George. George picked my name out of a resume book when I was at Stanford Business School. I was going to go work at Microsoft for the summer. I instead went to work for George because we had a 1-hour breakfast that turned into 3 hours. George was the only investor in PeopleSoft. I went to a PeopleSoft board meeting. A year later, when I was graduating from the GSB, I was about to go into venture capital, but thought I wanted to work for a company. And so George said, go see Dave, go see Dave, and he'll figure out a job for you. And so I went to go see Dave, and at this point, PeopleSoft was already a successful public company, not the huge company that it ended up being. And Dave took me out for a beer at Scott's Seafood. I remember that vividly. And here's this famous entrepreneur taking a MBA out for a drink. We had a glass of Chardonnay, which we now have a lot of those together. And he said, yeah, come work for me. I don't know what I'm going to do with you yet. Why don't you take 3 or 4 months off and travel, and I'll figure it out by the time you get back. That's what he said. And I thought, wow, this famous CEO and entrepreneur took me out for a beer. I don't really know. I'm not really that excited about HR software, but I'll try it for a couple years. And 26 years later, I'm in HR software. So that's how we met, and we've been best friends since.
Yeah, but
He was 20-something. So what was your first impression, and how did that?
Don't be so skeptical, Jerry.
Oh,
No, we were linked many years ago. We're both double E's.
Yay.
I went to high school in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Aneel was born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Wonderful mom sitting out in front here. Our dads both worked for Bell Labs. And my first job was in Rochester, New York. Aneel and his family spent several years there. So we were connected well before you and I met on that eventful day. But I saw in this young man just an energy, an intelligence, a desire to learn, to listen, wanted to do something. Obviously, he had great credentials. We were a fast-growing company at that time, and plenty of things to do. And we connected personally, and it has truly been a love affair, for 26 years now.
Okay, so now you're in PeopleSoft, you're working together. Tell us about what happened that drew you away from PeopleSoft to start Workday.
Well, so it was 1999, and I think you decided that it was time for you to take a step back. The board decided that I wasn't ready to be the next CEO, which I totally agree with. I wasn't. Some would argue I'm still not ready. And we went outside and found an outside CEO to run PeopleSoft, but both Dave and I stayed on the board. Fast forward to 2003, and Oracle launched a hostile takeover on PeopleSoft. Halfway through that hostile takeover, the board fired that CEO and brought Dave and I back to try to save the company from Oracle. We obviously didn't prevail, but we had so much fun working together in the middle of a hostile takeover. And along that way, we did actually. We had so much fun.
We had a glorious time. And I remember the company acquired J.D. Edwards. Do you remember that? In June, I think it was 2003.
Yeah.
And that launched the hostile takeover by Oracle. I have a fun story.
Well, let me finish that part.
Oh,
Let me come back to that. So along the way, we came to the conclusion that what PeopleSoft was doing had hit a wall, and there was a better way. I was friends with Mark Benioff at the time, and we both thought, someone's going to do what Salesforce is doing for sales and marketing, for HR and finance. Might as well be PeopleSoft. Of course, then it didn't end up being PeopleSoft, and they took over PeopleSoft. They didn't want me and Dave. Since we had fought it, they didn't even ask. Shocking, but they didn't ask. They didn't ask for non-competes, and so
It was a bad decision, right?
So 3 months later, we decided to start work on that idea. But really, now finish that part. But
we both went back for no pay, if you remember that. And,
$1 actually.
I didn't get the dollar.
I got the dollar.
But just put yourself in our place, where the board, a public company, just fired the CEO, and they're in the middle of this truly hostile takeover. And we have a wonderful group of venture capital people here. Who in their right mind would go back to work as the CEO or partner of the CEO without a guarantee of millions and millions of dollars? We didn't get paid, and it was really just a partnership that wanted to do the right thing for the customers, the employees. And this story I have, Aneel went back and created this product vision. We went out on the road to talk to the analysts, the shareholders. He personally moved the stock from $17 a share to $25. Personally, the value of the company went up 50%. And my job was sort of go around to talk to people. One of my visits was to Denver, to J.D. Edwards, where we just acquired 5,000 employees. And I had the occasion to go and speak to the whole company. Saw the CEO at McVaney, do you remember him? In the elevator, and he said, Dave, this is sort of funny. Dave, we decided as a company we needed to explore our options. And one of the options was to get acquired. And so I at McVaney, talking to all our employees in Denver, a couple of thousand of them, he said, team, we have to explore this option. How would you guys feel about being acquired by SAP? Boo, hiss, terrible. Worst decision you could make, Ed, terrible. Okay, well then how about if we got acquired by Oracle? Even worse, hysterics, people leaving the room. They couldn't believe that. Then he says, what about being acquired by PeopleSoft? Ooh, just like the room here. Maybe that's an option. He said, Dave, you know what? We chose PeopleSoft because you guys aren't a bunch of assholes. That is a true story. So,
you guys are two of the nicest people, and I wonder, do you guys ever argue? Tell us about these Chardonnay dinners.
We've
just drink for oblivion, or what happens in these things?
In 26 years, we've never had an argument or a fight.
Never.
So once a month during the founding of Workday, we'd go out to dinner at Amber, this hole in the wall in Danville. We learned the meaning of cougar juice at one of those dinners. Long story. And we'd get a bottle of wine and we'd talk through all the issues in the company, and we'd always solve everything. And if we didn't, we'd get a second bottle of wine. But never. And I think part of it is our relationship with each other is more important than any one decision. And also, I think we see the world generally the same. Although I'd say most people think of me as an optimist, and I see the world as half full. Dave sees a half full glass as completely full. It's true. It's true. And I think that's the beauty of Workday. We took on SAP and Oracle, and there were press reports written when we started the company, like, who are these guys? this is the dumbest idea. No one's going to take on SAP and Oracle and win. They're going to get killed. You know, you need optimism.
We had a perfect relationship with one minor little thing. After the hostile takeover succeeded, and we were in an airport somewhere, and I was following Aneel, and he was pissy, if you will. And I said, what's the matter? He said, well, you wrote the memo to the company. You spelled Greylock with an A. So that was our only little tip.
Wow.
There's some Greylock people here. They'd appreciate that. So.
So you've been doing this for 14 years, right? What keeps you going? What's the drive that keeps you guys still involved and working as hard as you do?
Well, I would say for me that Dave was the pioneer of a new way of doing business in Silicon Valley. Dave was the first nice guy to be really successful back in the 90s. That was not the model. So PeopleSoft was all about taking care of employees, taking care of customers, having fun along the way, and Workday has I think taken it to a new level. And what we're both proud of is we were number 7 on Great Place to Work recently, but we're a great place to work for millennials, which is frankly a really hard group. We got some millennial employees in the audience, women, LGBTQ, diversity, everything. I mean, we just embrace everyone, and we've created this great place to work. And I think it's a follow through from PeopleSoft, and it's exciting to have a place that is, that's positive, that takes care of its customers, that takes care of its employees, and we're winning. And I think that makes it fun every day, right? I mean, people are happy at Workday. We're a great place to work. We're also at 98% customer satisfaction, and it kind of fuels each other. We got the Workday management team here, and they're an amazing team, making it all happen. And it's just fun to go to work. And honestly, I feel like my job is to be the steward of what Dave started.
Oh. I tell you, this guy continues to be innovative. I think we got the customer satisfaction going for us, the employees. We were also number 1 in the country for working parents. That was pretty cool. But we have all that going for us, and yet Aneel devotes his energy to making sure we're taking advantage of the new technology, the new trends. He's got some of the smartest people at Workday working on new stuff so we can keep our lead in our technology business. Everything's going super well, and to see this guy in front of Kramer, in front of the user conference, the salespeople, this recent company meeting, fabulous job in terms of motivation, sense of humor, commitment to furthering the customers, furthering the employees. It's a great spot to be. I'm super proud of him.
Well, I've been lucky enough to be close to Workday for many years, and I know when you have your user conference at Rising every year, when Dave Duffield gets up on stage, it's like a cult. Everybody goes crazy. And so you've always been, Dave, sort of at least for me, the symbol for being that customer advocate for Workday. And as customers have continued to change, and the two of you seem to be able to see around corners very intuitively. And whether it's product directions, whether it's the proper paranoia, whether it's confidence, how do you guys, is this just natural and you guys kind of just feel it and it happens? Or is this something that you guys talk about? How does the process of doing all those things well, building a great product, engaging customers, have great employees, and have a great culture, is this something that just kind of comes along naturally, or is this something that you really work hard at?
Well, the culture has to be in the heart of the founders, and that's what we stand for. The corners I see around, I always ask Aneel, what's around the corner? Yeah, that's the way I figure it out. But no, he's the visionary. Petros, another luminary at Workday, in the second row here. Just a fabulous visionary too.
What I learned from Dave in the very early days at PeopleSoft was to be a good listener. And I learned it the hard way. We went to dinner and Dave wasn't saying anything, and I'm like, well, I'm with Dave, I'm not going to say anything. And we had this like awkward silence for a period of time, and I said, well, Dave, you hadn't said anything. It's like, well, I'm waiting for you to say something smart. And he gave me this lesson, which I try to take to heart, not always perfect at it, but no one learned anything while they were talking. And so you listen to the customers, you listen to your engineers, you listen to what's happening in the marketplace, and then you try to synthesize the information to what's happening. But it's out there. You just have to listen, and I learned that from Dave. Dave's one of the best listeners. When he used to run the PeopleSoft management meetings, he'd be pretty quiet most of the meeting, and then he'd summarize at the end what we were going to do. And I think that actually works pretty well.
So talk about, I've heard George Still also mentioned you're really good at looking around corners. So look around the corner and tell us what is your vision of what the industry looks like 10 years from now, and what's Workday's next challenge?
That's a great question. 10 years is hard.
Okay.
The next 5 years, there's nothing slowing down the cloud. I think that's a foregone conclusion. When we started the company, there were all the naysayers, but that's a foregone conclusion. I know everybody is talking about machine learning and AI, but it is real. It's not the bogeyman that people make it out to be. There's a great book called Prediction Machines that was written by 3 professors at the University of Toronto that talk about the economics of machine learning, and I think it actually debunks a lot of the fears. Basically tells you that machine learning is great at predictions. Humans are not great at predictions. Like, we're terrible at predicting the weather. Once we know the weather's bad, we make good judgment as to what to do. Get an umbrella, wear a raincoat. And over time, these machines are going to make better and better predictions, and then humans apply judgment, and that leads to better outcomes. And I actually think that it's actually going to be much more positive than what people are describing. Our applications in 5 years will basically predict what's going to happen on the business side, and whether it's in HR or finance, whatever applications we're building. And then the business folks will have to take advantage of that prediction and make a decision on what they're going to do with that prediction, and hopefully it leads to better business outcomes. So it'll go from automating processes to predicting outcomes. And actually, if you talk to our customers, they're looking for better business decisions and better outcomes, not just automated business processes. So Petros has been a big driver of the investment in it's all about the data, but I think that is a big part of it. And the important part for me is that we don't get upended by a new player. I don't worry about SAP and Oracle. I like to say they're dinosaurs. They're actually proving it out. One of the executives at Oracle said, we're a dinosaur, but we can fly. And I'm like, well, those died too, Just saying. It's going to be somebody that starts with a clean sheet of paper that looks at Workday as a legacy provider. We're now 14 years old, and says, this is the way I would do it if I'd start with a clean sheet of paper today. And that's why every few years, Petros and I take our key engineers off site. We say, what would you do today? What would you do today to start Workday, knowing the technologies that are available today versus 14 years ago? And then we try to reinvent ourselves. And I think that's what will be. What I do know, that in 5 years or 10 years, that the culture that Dave built at PeopleSoft and we built together at Workday, I hate to use this word, but will trump strategy, right? I don't like to use that word, but that will matter more than anything we do. If we have the right culture, we'll be innovative, we'll have happy employees and happy customers, and the rest will take care of itself.
We have a couple of really cool board members, too.
Yeah. We got George, we got Jerry. Jerry's the one who actually sees around corners. He tells us what to do in the board meeting.
Right. Right. But enough about me. Aneel, you were an investor for time and made some incredible investments. You're an incredible operator. Are those things different? How different are they? And what advice do you give people who are, investment community, i.e., me and Geoff, or people operating. How have you maneuvered sort of those different careers? So it's seemingly very different.
I've always felt more comfortable being in a company. When I was an investor, I love new technology, and that applies to both venture and just like you love new technology. I loved the new technology in venture, and I loved the new technology that we built Workday around. That's where the similarities probably end. As a venture capitalist, you need to be a skeptic to be the guardrails on a company to make sure that the entrepreneurs who are so optimistic that they have some guardrails to keep them on the right road. As entrepreneurs, you want to be optimistic and count on your board to be the guardrails. And I feel I'm better as the optimist than the guardrails. But I do think it's a mindset where the best investor I've ever worked is in the audience, Dave Z. I'm more famous at Greylock for hiring Dave Z than anything I did investing. It's true, he invested in Facebook and LinkedIn when neither really looked like a sure thing, right? I mean, David's amazing. David just can analyze anything in detail, and I think it's sort of a different mindset. Most of my success as an investor was almost being part of the founding team. So I do think it's different. Yeah.
So everybody kind of talks about successes, right? But some of the best lessons that you learn are from failures. Do you mind talking about some of your failures and what you've learned about them, learned from them?
One failure for me was picking the wrong successor at PeopleSoft at the time. It turned out to be brilliant because Aneel and I got to go back to work and become further bonded and form Workday. But that was a failure of all the business books. Jim Collins argues for promoting from within, and I chose to go to the outside. And it didn't work out. In retrospect, it did, but it was a failure at the time.
Yeah, no, we're now grateful to Larry Ellison for taking over PeopleSoft because Workday has done a lot better than PeopleSoft would have done. So now he's our friend.
Right.
Not really, but we say that.
So what lesson would you derive from that then?
Pardon me?
What would you learn from that?
I don't know. Get over it. Move on.
Well, but as many things you guys have kept the same from PeopleSoft to Workday, you guys did make sure in Workday's stock structure that nobody was going to do that to you guys again.
Yeah, and that's my official title here at Workday. I'm the hostile takeover preventer.
Yes.
I'd say, when the stories are written about startups, it's always about how they started from scratch and went straight to the right and did great things. And I remember going on Kramer, and they said, "You guys are an overnight success. Like, we've been at it for 8 years." And the first 2 years, we couldn't find a single customer to take Workday. We were working on it, and finally we were ready to launch the company, and we had a near miss with a big Fortune 500 manufacturer. We had a near miss with Google. Say that? With Google. Well, Google's now a customer. Yeah. So then we started calling up all of our friends. And so the first 10 customers were basically friends of Dave and Aneel who would just try the software at almost no cost just so we could get at the experience. But it took 2 years to get our first customer. And everybody thinks, it must have been easy. But people weren't looking for a new HR or a finance system at the time.
So when did you know that you were onto something? I mean, so you go 2 years and you can't get anybody to take the software, and now you got some people on. When did you know that this is gonna work?
Well, our first customer was a small software company down in this area. Very first customer. And the CEO of that company was Kana Software. Used to be the president of Oracle North America. So we knew we were onto something there, where our first customer was a former competitor. I think that the event that put us in probably on the map is Flextronics. They believed in us. The CIO at the time, Dave Smalley, made the cover of CIO magazine, and so he was prominent. Workday was prominent because of selling to him. Turned out to be a huge success. Came in under budget, under the budgeted time. The whole company was, both Flextronics and Workday, celebrated, and it was absolute key victory for us. Not just the sales process, but the customer going live and 200,000 employees around the world. So it was a big success, and a lot of good things happened after that.
Yeah, and the CEO of Flextronics ended up joining our board afterwards. And I remember vividly when we were at the kickoff meeting, he told his whole team, "We're burning the boats," like Cortez. There was no plan B, so you got to make this work. And everybody went quiet in the room, including me and Dave, said, "Oh." And at this point, we could prove the system could scale to 5,000 employees, and they had 200,000. So over the next couple of years, Petros and team and the engineers made it happen. But at that point, we realized they didn't have a plan B, so we really needed to make this work. And it's been this great partnership. The CIO went off to be the CIO at AstraZeneca. He became a customer again. You take care of your customers, CIOs move around. We've had repeat customers so many times. The other one I would say was Chiquita.
Yep.
Yeah, Manjeet.
Chiquita Banana Manjeet, yeah.
So, Aneel, last year is a big year of change for you, and one of the things I admire about you as a friend is your sort of ability to do work-life balance. You welcomed a new member to your family. I know Allison's here and your mom's here. I know you had a loss. I mean, when you step back in the beginning of 2019 today, what did last year mean to you?
Yeah.
What does that mean going forward?
Well, for those that don't know, my mom is in the audience. I lost my dad a few months ago, and he was my hero. He was a great dad, my role model. My two role models have been my dad and this guy here, who I've always said is my second dad, and that sort of overwhelms everything else. It was a great year for Workday, but I miss him a lot, and I think he'd be really proud of what Dave and I have done together. David met him. And then we got a new kid who started off with a little tough start. She came a little early, but now she's doing great. So, it just puts everything into perspective, right? It always does. And I've got an amazing wife, Allison, who's in the audience, who's been through all that with me, and who is a very active and successful angel investor. So, you should compare notes on deals, Jerry.
We'll talk later.
We maybe have a few minutes just for some questions from the audience, and so if there's anything that you want to ask, please do so, and otherwise we'll keep going. Any questions that? It's hard for us to say. I got one. So a lot of people will. I'm
so
sure
he is bad. Just so everybody knows, he is bad Yang and he's good Yang. So now I'm worried that you have an extra one.
Yeah.
Actually, you're fun Yang too.
George Roberts says I'm fun Yang.
Mm-hmm. Fun Yang.
I mean, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but if you had a one or two piece of advice for a new entrepreneur, you've gone through it a few times, and what would it be?
I'd say number one, it's way more fun doing it with a friend. I think the story of Workday is a story of friendship. I don't think it exists without the friendship that Dave and I have had for 26 years now.
26 years.
We've been working together for 26 years. And the second piece is solve a problem that matters. Mm-hmm. What we set out to do at Workday, a lot of people said, it's too hard. No one's going to take on SAP and Oracle. So when we were successful, we didn't actually have a whole bunch of other startup competitors because it was hard. Mm-hmm. And anytime people talk about wanting to compete with Workday and knowing HR and payroll regulations in 180 countries and the accounting rules across the globe, you say, welcome to the swamp. This is really hard stuff. And all the companies that I was fortunate enough to invest in, I saw a few of our entrepreneurs in the audience, or what I see at Intel. If it's not hard, it's frankly not worth doing. Mm-hmm. And you'll have a lot of competition. And if it's hard and you're solving a problem that matters, you'll find a way to be successful. But when I come back to, I think Workday is a story of a friendship that turned into a great company.
I totally agree. I would suggest that the entrepreneur immediately define the vision for the company. And I failed to do that for my first 25 years in business. And finally, at PeopleSoft, as George knows and Aneel knows, we defined our value system, our purpose in life. I mean, your core values are most important. To get that right in the beginning, it's the methodology for hiring the top people in the company. You want everybody to be able to work together. And I think Aneel and I did it beautifully at Workday. We established our vision. We hired the right people, Petros, Jim Bazzini, Stan Sweet, a whole bunch of dynamite people. And we were in harmony. We just worked well together. We solved problems together. We took on challenges. We were good friends. So I think that's number one. I mean, and it's just phenomenal to be able to work with your best friend. I still remember the days that it worked. We had cubicles together. We'd lean over. Aneel's was cluttered with all this electronics. He has the latest of anything. Always fiddling with it, and that's his genius mind at work. But it's fun just to collaborate. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. You can't make decisions without thinking through the different obstacles you have in front of you. There's always personnel challenges you'll have at your company, and to have your best friend next door to talk about things you could never talk with anybody else about, including your board, it's dynamite. And
we interviewed the first 500 people together, only for a cultural fit. We assumed the team had gotten it right on the skill set, but Dave and I interviewed for a cultural fit. That would be another piece to, we set the value system up front. We spend a lot of the first breakfast in Truckee Diner talking about the values, and then made sure that when we hired that first 500, and many of them are still at the company now, they're the culture carriers to make sure that we continue down that path. And I think founders sometimes punt on hiring. It's easier to let their managers hire, but we were involved with every hiring decision for the first 500.
That's amazing. Well, listen, thank you very much. I've been to a lot of these and a lot of ENCORE Awards, but this is probably the most human presentation I can ever recall. So thank you. And it's nice to see that nice guys can finish first. So thank you very much and congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you, Jerry.
Very inspirational.
Thank you all. Thank Geoff and Jerry. Thank you so much for moderating. And Dave and Aneel, that was just seeing the partnership you have was worth every minute of it. That was wonderful, just beautiful. So we now have your award. So here it is.